It's an industry that I generally love. I have a passion for. I eat, sleep, I live for fitness.
No, you need to be obsessed. You need to wake up, think about it. You need to go to bed, think about your clients, think about your progress, think about what you can do better.
Genuinely, just be patient and take your time. That is you've got to take it all in the right steps. You've got to nail what you do in person before you go online.
I don't like to talk about fear. The fears is usually something that makes your worries real.
You are listening to the Coaching Ignited show, where we bring you stories and insights from coaches, fitness professionals, and industry experts to help you expand your business and reach your goals. If you're a new listener, thanks for joining us. My name is Alex Povey. You can subscribe to the podcast on all your favorite apps, including Spotify and iTunes. The Coaching Ignited movement is on a mission to help coaches and personal trainers increase their sales and reach their full potential. If you wanted to find out more, please head over to CoachingIgnited.com. And if you wanted to connect with us on social media, all the details can be found in the show notes. Now let's get into today's show. So on today's episode of the podcast, we've got Maria Ayne, and she's an author, nutritionist, and behavioral specialist helping compulsive eaters, binge eaters, and emotional eaters overcome these issues. And this was a really fun podcast to record. We go into some really interesting topics, things that I've never covered before on any of these shows, and so I really enjoyed doing this one. I'm sure you're going to enjoy listening to Maria's story and the way she coaches people and gets amazing results. She's got a wealth of experience to share with you, and if you wanted to check out her book, it's on Amazon. It's called The Eating Enigma. So as always, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Let me know your thoughts, leave it a review if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so we are live and we are recording.
Hey.
So I just want to say thank you so much for being here. It's great to have you on the show, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more about your story, right? Because it looks like you're doing awesome stuff from the outside, and I just can't wait to get into it. So why don't we talk about how you got started and how you got into this space, into the fitness industry, and what you're doing. So from the start and to where you are now.
Okay, that could make for a very long podcast. But for the start, I was always really, really interested in health and wellness. Even as a little girl, I knew that I had a strong interest in health. I was just always really fascinated with health, the human body. But I don't know, had ideas about what I could be in life. And so I went in a totally different road, didn't really understand to do things that you loved and that was interesting to you. It was just, I don't know, odd. But then sort of in my mid-20s, I started to feel sort of really not fulfilled with my career, even though I was really successful in the career that I had chosen. And I started to really learn, as I began to learn more and more about health and wellness and how to be happy and what it is to have a fulfilling life. I started to realize, okay, there's absolutely no way I can continue to do a career that I'm not really passionate about. Even though it was fun, it just wasn't something I was passionate about. And so I thought to myself, okay, what is the thing that I want to learn the most about? And that was nutrition. And it was actually really in an effort to heal myself from some of the things that I was dealing with, particularly an unhealthy relationship with food. Not a lot of people like to talk about it, but I'm very super open about it. I had a food addiction, a sugar addiction, and it was it didn't matter how much I learned about nutrition, I just couldn't make the right decisions. It's I would for a little while and then I would fall off the wagon, and I knew it wasn't about desire. I desired it. More than I desired anything. And so as I was continuing my studies and then I started to practice a little bit, I started to realize, you know what? Health and wellness is an innate desire for all of us. There's no living being that doesn't want to be as healthy and as feeling as vibrant and alive as it possibly can be, And so I started to realize that everybody wants that, but we're actually getting sicker and fatter. And so I started to realize that the common denominator was not so much, what to eat or, I've lost your, so not what to eat or all of these different things, but it was that people know kale is healthy and cookie's not healthy, but they're not choosing the kale, even though it's an innate desire to want to be healthy. And it goes against our instincts to want to harm yourself. I mean, some people are afraid of heights. Why? Because they're afraid of harming themselves. If I told you to cut yourself, you'd be like, no, because harming yourself is not something that is programmed within us. Yet we know these foods and stuff are bad for us, yet we're doing it anyway. So this goes totally against everything that we are. And so I started to realize, okay, why is that happening? And that's when I decided that I wanted to hone in on the thing that I have the most trouble with, or had the most trouble with. And so that was a whole other journey, trying to figure out the well, I call it an eating enigma, because it's like a puzzle piece. You have to like sort of figure out what is your puzzle piece. But then there was that was a journey. And then the more and more I learned about it, the more passionate I got about it. And I realized that was just sort of like a hole or a area that wasn't really covered in health and wellness. And I decided that I would make that my little niche.
Lovely. That was a nice little
So
story.
that's the story.
So this experience that you had, it was clearly quite powerful for you, and you were obviously searching for solutions and answers, and you wanted to obviously share this with people and help other people. How do you take that kind of idea and experience and then turn it into the business that you have today?
Oh, intuition, following your instinct, not questioning yourself. I think the biggest thing is not to compare yourself to everyone else. And I think that's going to be really interesting for people that are listening to this particular podcast and trying to get ideas and insights. It's like, yes, let people inspire you, and let your own ideas be ignited from that inspiration. And yes, of course, surround yourself with like-minded people, but listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. I think that was, for me, the most important thing, because I am basically doing something that didn't exist before. And obviously the world needed it. If I needed it, someone else in the world needed it as well. And so when you're doing something like that, it's like you can't be comparing yourself to everything everyone else is doing, because obviously there's something, I'm not going to say missing, but they're doing something amazing in their own right, but I'm doing something different. So I need to be able to follow my own intuition, my own inner guidance. So I think that would be my number one thing to tell people, is to really, really trust the innate wisdom and the light that wants to shine from you.
So how do you take that and turn it into a product that's readily available for people to purchase, right? Because it's still like a concept, an idea, and it's obviously a great product, right? In your head, you've got that intuition. You think this makes sense. If I've got this problem, someone else needs it. How do you go about like turning it into something that you provide to people, and what does that look like? What do you offer now to people?
Well, I put my clients through a 90-day program, because in all honesty, that's what it takes in order to go from, one point to another. And so I won't do one-on-ones with people, just people who pay each time they can come see me. It's like, that's not a commitment. They're not going to get better. I know that it's not going to be better in 1 or 2 sessions. So I've created a program. So I think create as many things as you possibly can. Create books. I actually started with the program, but then right away wrote the book. So they kind of came together. And make your book a way of people sort of finding you and reaching you, so that you can have a program or something else after that really, really, like, a lot of people will get a lot from the book, and they'll be able to take in whatever you've said and apply it to their own lives. But there are a lot of people that just need that coaching. They just need someone to guide them. And so you could create something else, like a program or a retreat or something for those people at the end of it. It doesn't really matter what it is, but just something where you can reach a lot of people. I just think this, one-on-one in an office, it's great, but you want to reach as many people as you can. So doing something online or doing something where people can fly to you, that's, I think, just the way to go, really.
So is your whole business online?
100% online. Yeah. Even if someone's in the same city as me, I just see them online. But I like to travel, right? So that was one of the reasons why I decided that I was going to make sure I did it online, because I don't really want to be in one place, and I want to be able to go to different retreats and learn things and do all that, and still be able to, be with my clients and not have to put my business on hold. So yeah, that was how I set it up for myself, is online.
Awesome. So you talked about, obviously, the office stuff, the face-to-face stuff. It's not ultra scalable, right? Because you can't have a big impact when you're doing the face-to-face.
Yeah.
So how do you reach more people with what you do? Do you do group trainings? Do you just sell products that people can buy and there's no real involvement from you? How is it scalable in your business?
Well, so basically, right now it's just the book and the program, and eventually I'm going to be doing a retreat. So that's sort of the next thing I want to create is a retreat. But sort of the ideas keep going and going and going. So there's this big vision, but I try not to think about it too much. But yeah, I'd like to do create weekend seminars and retreats and things like that. So I think that's sort of the direction that I'm headed. But writing books is a big thing for me as well. I get so much joy out of writing. So I think that'll be another way that I reach more and more people.
Got you. So you've got...
Yeah, but I don't sell any other products or anything like that.
So you've got the program, the 90-day program.
90-day program,
and then you've got the books, which we'll touch on in a second, and then you've got the retreats that are pending or future stuff that they're working on.
Yeah, there's a couple other programs I do want to make, because of course this one is emotional eating and food addiction, so it helps people change their eating behavior so that they can start to eat the things that they want. But then a lot of those people that come to me really want to know how they can lose the excess weight as well. And of course, most of them lose a lot of it in the first program, but I do want to create a second program for them so that they can really understand sort of intuitive eating and how to read their body and all of that stuff. So I'll always be creating books, programs, retreats, all these different things. I'd love to do a podcast, like I was saying. So yeah.
So with the books, can we dive into that? Is it 2 that you mentioned that you've got?
Yeah, so I've got one published already. It's The Eating Enigma, and I'm in the process of writing my second book now.
Awesome. So what made you want to write a book? Where did that sort of desire come from to write a book? And what was the idea behind doing it?
Well, I actually really enjoyed writing. I've always enjoyed writing. I find it therapeutic, and I wanted to make sure that however I set things up, it was doing things that I actually enjoyed doing. I'm also a creative person. I like words and all of this stuff. So I wanted to make sure that whatever I did, it was something that I enjoyed doing, I could do for a long period of time, and I could sort of be known for doing that. And so writing is definitely one of those things. But the idea for the book came on a really low point. I actually had a binge one night, and I was like, why is this happening to me? I am this really healthy person most of the time, and I have all this willpower, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I just binge like crazy, and I was lying, basically sitting on the floor crying, and I was like, why isn't there a book so I can have the answers? And then all of a sudden, there was this moment where I was like, of course there's no book. Of course I'm going through this struggle. Of course I want it this badly. Of course I love writing. Of course I'm willing to research as long as I possibly have to until I have the information for this book. I'm meant to create this book. It makes so much sense, And it was just changing the perception. And then, of course, that perception could have always been there, but it's that moment, right, of deciding, okay, yeah, this means something different. So I decided then that I wanted to write it. And then once I made that decision, it was my filter of the world completely changed. And all I ever read about was that. And, and then I very quickly sort of figured it out. So when it became larger than me, and for not just for myself, I exponentially sort of figured out what the issue was and how to fix it. And then one day I just felt ready and just opened up my laptop and was like, how to write a book, because obviously I'd never written one. And, but that
So
wasn't
did
going
you
to
just
stop
Google
me.
it, like,
And
how do I write a
so
book? And then you just...
how to write a book? Yeah, how to write a book. And I went on 3 different websites, and the website said, okay, they said like the general word count for books that are, what size they would be, and what publishers like or what people like to read. And so I was reading that, and I thought, okay, if I wanted, and I decided on 50,000 words, and I went, okay, if I want to do 50,000 words, then, and I want to write this, okay, so I have this many chapters. Okay, so I'll just blog it off into this many chapters, and that was it. I just went. It ended up being 65,000. So you always have more
Is that a
words
lot?
than
I
you
don't know
think that
what
you have
book
in you, but
terms are in terms of like numbers.
it's just like a
Okay.
regular size. Yeah, it's a regular book. Yeah, it's a regular book size. But so easy enough to read, but
Awesome.
it's books.
Because that's
So
cool,
yeah,
man.
that's how I
Because the girl that introduced us, Robin Lee, she was talking about her book, How to Not Go Crazy on the Daily, and we're kind of just talking about like why people write books and why anyone could actually write a book if they wanted to, right? But I'd be interested to know, like, what are some of the things that you've seen have come off the back of writing the book, or like what personally has it done for you writing a book?
It, you know what? I honestly always say that it was the best experience of my life. It was one of the most valuable experiences of my life because it was something that I had wanted for a really long time. And there always was a little part of me that didn't believe it. Right. And when I finally gave myself, when I just said to myself, that's it, like I am doing this and nothing is going to get in the way of me doing this. And then watching myself go through that process and choosing that over and over and over and over and over and over again, it all of a sudden, it just made me realize like the leaps and bounds that you can progress in life if you just go, nope, I'm doing this. And that's basically all I really needed to get through that project. The other thing too was I learned from that project that if I look at a really big vision and I continue to look at that big vision, I get overwhelmed and I stop. And I think a lot of people will basically relate to that. There's, different types of people. There's big picture people who just, that's all they can see. And then other people who go, oh my God, you know what? Maybe that's just too big. And so I learned when I was writing the book that there was no way that I could write the book if I was like thinking about how I was going to publish it. Was I going to self-publish it? Was I going to go to a publisher? What was the editor I was going to use, and how would I market it? If I did any of that stuff, I would have never, there's no way I would have finished. And so when I started the book, I thought I'm just going to give myself little goals, and I'm only going to focus on that one goal. And that was just those two things, just never giving up and not letting myself subscribe to the belief that it might not happen, and breaking it down really, really small and only focusing on the very, very small steps. So those two things were how I got through it. And when I realized that I can do anything when I just do those two things, that really changed everything for me. And of course, it changed my confidence, and it changed the way that my clients interact with me, and it probably shouldn't, but they seem to have more confidence in you once you've written a book or something like that. I don't know why that is, but they do. And so I think even if my book doesn't do anything, I think it's amazing just to give my clients that kind of confidence in me, because we know that people get, the more confidence they have in you, the more likely they're willing to follow what you tell them to, the protocol, the more likely they are going to get better and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's just been really great for me in all ways, confidence wise. It's been really good. And the other thing too was, it was a really good experience for me to see how things just come out. You don't have to have it all planned out. I didn't actually know everything I was going to write it. I didn't know how I was going to piece it together. I didn't know any of that when I started. And I just trusted, and I just showed up every day. And whenever I was, during the times when I hadn't shown up and I didn't put myself in front of the computer and I didn't, start doing the writing and everything like that, then the ideas didn't come to me in the same way as when I was in flow. So if there's anyone out there that really wants to write a book and is not sure how they're going to put it all together and what they're going to say, it's like, just show up, just get in the space. Because that, I think, for me has been just, unbelievably helpful in both my creating my program, writing the second book as well.
Love it. I love how, I know.
See,
that
I
was
told
awesome.
you I could talk.
I love it how it helped you discover yourself better. Like when you talk about the big picture versus the smaller picture type goal setting, right? Where if you look at things from like a big perspective or try and look too far ahead, then it can kind of put you off, and it can kind of like make you feel like, ooh, that's too much.
Yeah.
And then it just overwhelms you, right? And that's interesting because like as coaches, we see things one way, but other people see things a different way, right? Because like I look big and you're telling me that you would prefer to look small, right? But it's tough sometimes to be able to acknowledge that we think differently to other people. You kind of think that everyone thinks the same way. So hearing you saying it, it's like, oh, that's interesting, but I understand why you're doing it. Yeah, because when you were saying it, I was like, oh, she likes to think small. But I didn't think it was wrong. I just thought that's not how I think. But then when you said why, it makes perfect sense. And I've noticed this with some clients, like, because I'm thinking in such a way and I try and kind of project that onto them, when they kind of not push back, but they don't achieve at the pace I thought they were going to achieve, it's because then they don't respond to that type of view, that type of thinking, right? So you've got to really be careful and adjust, particularly when you're coaching clients. So it's really interesting to observe that like right in front of me, but the acknowledgement of why you do it.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point, especially for all coaches, because I try my best to come from the perspective that if someone is not getting better, if I've hit a roadblock with someone, then that means that person has something that I need to learn. Because the idea that we know it all, I mean, like, science is in its infancy stages to understand the human body. So any coach that comes from the perspective of, I don't have anything to learn from my client, or I know it all, it's just like, I think they're just doing a disservice to their own business and to the client. So I think that's just such a good, example of why we need to always be listening to the clients and to be hearing like what it is, what's the difference that makes a difference between me and that person. What can I learn? Because I think if someone's not getting better, that's because of the coach, not because the client. Yeah, no one's broken.
They just need guiding.
Everyone, they need guiding, and they need the right kind of guiding for them, and we're all different.
No, that's an interesting point. Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I think, like, if you were to break it down, that would be something that makes a good coach, right? That would be the quality of a good coach. A coach that can kind of be flexible to their client, but have that intuition to know that the way that they do some of the things in their business and their coaching is not always the right way to get the result from the client. You need to get the feedback from the client and make adjustments and deliver it in a slightly different way. Otherwise, it's just like cookie cutter, right? And it's not going to work for everyone.
Well, that's just it. It's like, intuition is not just like this magical sense that comes from nowhere. Intuition is developed from our experiences, right? So gut feelings, it's because the gut takes a snapshot of something if we've experienced something and it remembers it. And that's when we have intuition. But if we haven't experienced something, then we have no intuition for that other person, really. We really don't have any idea. So I think,
I've heard of him. Is he American?
Yeah. Yeah, he's American, but he's just really great. But anyway, he always says the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. And I also think that the quality of your practice is determined by the quality of the questions that you ask
100%
your
agree.
clients.
100% agree. Because like, it's the same when you kind of, well, maybe it was different for you, but the way our product was conceived, if that's what we want to call it, how it was created, how it came to be, yeah, conceived.
Yes, yeah. I call it conceived
It
as well.
wasn't conceived by me. Like, I went to the market and I went, tell me your problems, tell me your pains, tell me your fears, like tell me all the things that you do not like about your current life and your current business within that particular niche, so personal trainers. And then I listened. So I spoke to like 100 trainers, spent my time researching and really just like putting my ear close to the market and listening to what they said. And then I went away. I found all the
Yeah.
solutions to fix those particular pain points and then came back. So I never created the product. I've never created the product. So I
And what did you
basically
create with it?
listened to what they were saying in terms of their business, right? All the problems they had in their business.
Yeah.
I can't get
Yeah.
clients. I can't grow my business. I'm getting rejected. I'm fearful about approaching people. I'm struggling. Like all these like things that keep coming up. I'm relying on hope marketing. I don't know how to get the
Yeah.
clients. So I
Yeah.
basically just figured out all those problems, found the answers, and then went back. And it was a perfect fit because they created it, not me. And that's going back to the point. It's going back to the point of listening
Yeah,
to the client,
exactly.
asking the right
Exactly.
questions. And that is the best way to do anything. You're not going to figure it out by thinking it up yourself. Just ask them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the same thing. I don't think I wrote my book. I don't think I created my program. One, I believe that sort of I was meant to do it, and so I was a vessel, and so ideas came through me. So in that way, that part of it was conceived like that. But all of my different clients, I always think that there's like their fingerprints are sort of in the program and in the book, because each little step of the way was a learning experience for me. And so I think too, as a coach, one really important thing is to stop seeing yourself so much as like, that this person is going to be getting something from you, and that actually it's besides, the fact that you're making a living from it, that every interaction is a learning experience, and that you could be getting much more from the client than they're even really getting from you, to be honest with you, if your business is something that you want to keep progressing. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think like you said about learning from them, that's really how your product can just become better over time, by listening, asking the right questions. I mean, I was doing it today, so people were sending me like voice notes with questions and problems, and I was like, why is that not in my program? Okay, I'll build it into the program, right? So
Yeah.
that it's like FAQs basically, isn't it? So like when commonly asked questions, and you just got to listen. And then if you're not hearing enough of them, you just got to ask for them,
Yeah.
or ask for feedback, or what are you enjoying? What are you not enjoying? What's working for you? What isn't working for you?
Yes.
And you're just constantly making adjustments and bettering your product,
Yes.
so that you can have an overall better impact and achieve your purpose of doing what you need to do.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, one of the best things to do if you want to advance in life is to look at what Mother Nature does. And she's constantly making little adjustments, and we're constantly evolving over time. So that would be smart to do that with your business. And it's like the worst thing you can do is like, oh yeah, I've created something and that's it. It's like, no, keep going back in there and keep changing and keep, refining it and making it better and better and better. Yeah, I just think that's just the way to go.
That was a good analogy. It's natural selection and evolution.
Yeah.
That's how you
just
survive.
Yeah, if you're ever confused, for me, I mean, if I'm ever confused at, what is the way to go that I'm going to have the most flow and the most support from life, it's like I'm going to follow whatever pattern Mother Nature does it in. Yeah.
So, do you have like a mission or a purpose? And if so,
Well,
what it is?
I truly believe that we just choose a mission and a purpose. I don't necessarily think that we were all put here for like one thing. I think that we were given gifts, and I think that ideas are drop in on us when it's the right time for that idea to be conceived, and then we basically can decide, yes, we, based on our beliefs and our desires and things that interest us, we either go, oh yeah, that's a good idea, I'm going to do that, I can do that, yeah, okay, and then we use our body as a vessel to birth that idea. But so I don't think that, like, you just get given a purpose or a mission. I think that there is sort of like kind of a container a bit, and like a direction that you're headed. But so as of right now, my mission is to help people overcome emotional eating and food addictions. Helping them get over binge eating, all of these different things, and to do that on a large scale, on a global scale. And I think my purpose, honestly, is just to shine my light and be me. I know that sounds really corny, but that's just the way I'm doing it, and it's working for me, and I've never been happier, and I'm creating all these things by doing that. So, if it can be corny or it cannot be, but that is my purpose, is to be me.
Nice. I think that should be everyone's purpose, to just be yourself and
I think
be
so.
happy and be happy,
I
right?
think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because, if you're doing anything that is for somebody else, that takes up willpower. So in order to convince people that you're likable, in order to do something that you don't want to be doing, in order to, try and be someone that you're not, this all takes willpower. Willpower is extremely energy expensive, So if you're going about your day, drip, 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 doing all these things that you don't want to be doing and expending willpower, then you're never going to have the abundant amount of energy to create something large. You're just always going to be just getting through the day. It's like, oh, I'll work on that big project tomorrow, because it's like you're exhausted, And so I just think, but it's different when you're doing something that you are really excited by, that is something like that, the goal is really, really valuable to you, where the goal is so valuable to you that the effort doesn't seem like much. You basically get more energy. People think that we have like a consistent amount of energy. It's like, no, it depends on what's in front of you. If you don't want to do it, it's exhausting. If you do want to do it and you're inspired by it, then you have loads of energy. And so, yeah, I mean, why would you want to be anyone else? Because it's tiring and exhausting and awful, So to me, there's no other option.
Yeah, just like as we're on this call, I can see you're very like energized and happy, and what you're saying is what you're living, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you get to that state of like, are you constantly feeling like this, where from the outside it appears like you're ultra happy, like happy as happy can be? Is there like a ritual, a process, or meditation, or how do you maintain that? Or do you have your dips? I don't know.
Okay, that's like actually really a loaded question for me. So I actually used to be, the thing I wanted the most out of life was to no longer be a part of it. That was like who I was. I always was like, I don't get it. Why am I here? This is boring. Like, I went through the motions. I was just about to do a post on this actually today, but then I ended up doing this. So you get to hear it first. But I was actually really kind of a miserable person. I always thought I had a good heart and had good intentions, but I was just like miserable. And so, of course, along the holistic health journey and the spiritual empowerment and stuff, I started to learn why that was. And of course, I mentioned before that the whole reason I was even on this journey was to sort of heal myself from a lot of things. And so as I started to put everything into practice, then I started to realize, oh yeah, this really does really does have a difference on me. So yeah, I think my lifestyle is what helped me to get to here. I also really, really am mindful of everything that I ingest from the world. And so diet isn't actually our nutrition. It's our everything that we take in from the world. So I don't have TV. I don't watch the news. And people say to me all the time, they're like, why don't you want to know what's going on in the news? It's like, well, no, if I was like, if I could do anything about any of the things that's happening, if that was part of the mission, then sure, I'd keep up to date with it. But, I don't need to be bombarded with all the negative stuff that's happening around the world. Like in no time when we were in nature would we be exposed to so much negativity. And so I don't try to deny negativity, or I don't try to chase happiness. I actually am a very, very lucky, happy person. And I've, through mindful practices and through daily habits, I've been able to cultivate that. Okay. It's something that we cultivate. And so I don't try to chase happy all the time. If I have an emotion, if I experience something, I let myself feel that emotion. And I even posted the other day, like on an Instagram story of like me having a little cry and saying, just so everyone knows, like, just, you see me as healthy and happy. It's like, yes, I'm healthy and happy, but I don't ignore emotions, and emotions are healthy. So this idea of being happy all the time, that is a fantasy. And the most depressed people in the world are the ones that are trying to be happy all the time, that are trying to have, support, no challenge, all of these different things, right? So I wouldn't say I'm happy all of the time. If something happens to me, I process it. What did I learn from it? What is the belief system that, what is the illusion that I'm sort of can't see past that made me feel this way? And then I work through it, and then I evolve. And then, of course, I know how to change the subconscious mind. This is all about what the 90-day program is for. And so over time, I was able to change all of my subconscious beliefs about myself. And then I was able to cultivate this happiness. But for the most part, yeah, I'm actually super inspired and joyful and healthy. And yeah, I do. I feel great. I've never felt better.
Makes me feel really like
How about
happy
you?
just listening to
Are
it.
you really happy?
Well, it's making me really happy just listening to you talking about being happy, right? But you said something interesting about TV and the news, because I had this exact same conversation out in Spain the other day. I went to meet these guys, these fitness professionals who run an online business, and we're talking about the news. And because like they're very regimented in their approach to business, just like I am, a very strict, and I just have blinkers on, and that's all I can focus on. Like I have a TV, but
Yeah.
I don't turn it on, because the point you just made, like it offers me nothing. The
It's
news,
mind-numbing.
the news does not affect my life or business. So maybe it
Yeah.
does to a degree, right? But I don't see it, and I don't need to see it. Like turning on a TV, I don't ever see anything positive. Like does that
No.
anything positive appear on the news? It's all about like, well, at the moment it's Brexit here in the UK, or it's war, or it's death. And it's trying to be as polarizing or as negative as possible to get you to watch it, because it needs to be. So
Yeah.
it's like, how many more people can we show that died in one go? Or how many more wars can we
Yeah.
show? And it's like, that doesn't offer me anything. And it's not in line with my goal. It doesn't get me to my goal. So
No.
why would I even watch it?
Yeah, and it's like that's basically I believe that we're all the embodiment of infinite potentials. We can be anywhere in sort of you can call it a quantum field, whatever it is, but you can live in any paradigm that you want to live in. Your life can be made up of whatever you want it to be made up of. Well, I don't really want my life to be mainly made up of what they tell me to eat, what they tell me to think, what they tell me to wear. Like, how the hell am I supposed to live my purpose, which is to be me, if I'm hypnotized by this big box that's like screaming to me who I'm supposed to be? No, I can't. And I'm also careful about who I surround myself with, and what I talk with other people about.
Yeah.
So anything I ingest, take in from the world, I'm very super, super careful about that. It's like, I'm the designer of my life, and how I feel, it's my responsibility. And if I'm going to be letting myself be in mud all the time, well, I'm not going to feel good, of course.
I've noticed a couple of times that you break it back to nature, right? You sit,
Yeah.
right? Okay, I see a common theme here. You keep using like analogies to do with nature, right? So that must be a big thing for you. But I liked what you say
Huge.
about like in nature, you wouldn't be subjected to all this like noise. So why would you do
No.
it now? Like, and you talk about ingesting, and it could just be like visually, it could be like orally, right? And it could be like through your skin. And
Taking in anything you take in from the world. Yeah.
but where's
And
that
I think
nature?
too.
Okay, you've made that point, but I want to ask you about the nature thing because I think there's a deeper reason why you keep coming back to that nature thing. But you were going to say something?
Oh, I just have so much respect for nature and Mother Nature, and I think one of the things that society is really missing is the connection to nature and understanding that we are nature, and that if we just accepted that, life would be so much easier. So I always try to tie things back to nature, and because I'm so used to doing that in my practice and all of that stuff, and with my clients and on Instagram and stuff like that, I think, and all the different podcasts I'm doing, I think that that's why I keep doing it here. So it's sort of like imprinted in me. But I think one thing that's really important for people to understand, and like if you're feeling confused or you're not really sure what you want for yourself, go out in nature, okay? Because basically what people don't understand is that everything that we do is a subconscious program. By the time you reach 35, really, almost everything you do is actually a subconscious program. You're like a computer, like that has a program that's been downloaded in it through your childhood. So basically, the first, 0 to 8 years, you're developing all of these programs, and they just play in a loop. So basically, what triggers one of these programs is a cue in the environment. Then you do a particular routine that leads to some kind of reward or helps you run away from some kind of danger. Everything you do pretty much as an adult is goes in that way, right? So if you're trying to create a program or a podcast or a book, but you're finding that you're not really getting to it, it's like, you keep doing these other things. It's like, okay, well then what's happening is that there's a cue in the environment that's causing you to do an old routine, taking you to another direction for a reward, okay? So when you're being exposed to all of these cues all the time, the TV, what your friends say, what this person says, going outside, the shopping, the this, the that, then all these cues, basically all of your thought patterns and all of your behaviors are a byproduct of just the cues that you're conditioned to. So go out in nature. If you're having like writer's block, if you don't know what you want to create, go and be in this where there are no cues. And then that's when your true self can sort of come up. So just wanted when you said nature and all that stuff, I was like, I really just want to make sure I say that, because all this stimulation from the TV, everything, it's just it's blocking us from being able to live to our fullest expression, really.
Wow, I love that cue thing. It makes so much sense to me, the way you describe it.
It changes everything. It changes. You go, oh my God. It's like all the things that you say to yourself. It's like, why do I do that? Why am I like that? It's like, well, because there's a program that's automatically playing in your software. You're the hardware, and then there's the software. It's like, okay, you want to change that, then change the software, and then basically your body will then sustain whatever is the new program that you put in there. But we're not taught this. So I think it's really important for people to understand.
Yeah, that is very important. In terms of what you just mentioned then, is that the type of thing that's in your program? Do you like rewire people effectively?
Completely, yeah. Yeah, 100%. We do all 100% reprogramming the subconscious. We do everything: beliefs, we do habits, we do the way that people think about themselves. Just everything. I mean, just everything. Most of the program is all about subconscious programming. I do it through basically a meditation hypnosis type of strategy, and it's like a one-on-one. It's like it's tailor-made for each person. But at the same time, they're obviously going through the program and taking on the suggestions, and then I give them suggestions on how to basically make the new routines the new way, and what to do when the old programs fire off and all of this stuff. So if you are a particular way and you want to change that, for some people that's really, really hard to do. The older you get, the harder it is to do. If you don't know how to change your subconscious, then not much is actually going to change. Yeah.
I love all the mindset work, because when it comes to coaching, that is like where the big impact comes from. It's not about eat this, eat that, or exercise like this or exercise like that. Or for me, it's like I teach people strategies and systems. And yeah, that's the kind of the essence of what you teach. But like, it's actually the mindset, the application behind it that actually gets the result. And to one without the other, they don't work.
No, yeah, no. I mean, you can tell people what to eat all you want, but if they don't know how to reprogram their subconscious, if they don't know how to, what to do when there is a craving. So basically, the cue initiates a craving, and you only ever have a craving of something that you've been exposed to, right? That you've experienced the reward to. So okay, what's the person supposed to do when they have a craving? Yes, they can, when they're feeling good and their willpower is high, and when they've woken up in the morning and they have their blood sugars high, then they can make those decisions. Great. But what happens when they've worked 8 hours at a job that they don't want to be working at, and their willpower has depleted and they're exhausted, and then they come home and then they see the cookies, and then all of a sudden it's like the next day they ate a box of cookies, so it's like they knew they bought the kale, it's sitting in the fridge, but they cue routine reward.
So what's next for you? What's the next project? I know you talked a little bit about the retreats. You're smiling as I say it, like it must be ticking over in your brain as to what's coming next. Yeah, even though you don't think super big, there's obviously stuff coming, right?
Well, I do think really big. Like I have like really big visions, but when I'm creating, I only think really, really small. Yeah, I don't worry about what's going to happen the next day. Just like I just believe everything's going to turn out and divine guidance and all of that stuff, because I'm I'm spiritual hippie. So I just think about like the little things. But one thing that has been on the forefront of my mind that I think will be like the very next thing I create, or I might start doing it soon, is basically a program to be able to put for coaches to be able to put their clients basically through a program that's just like mine. So basically teaching them everything that I know, because there is no school to teach you everything that I have accumulated. It's like, this was something that I decided that I wanted to invent, basically, a problem I wanted to solve that no one's really. There's a few people now that are doing it in their own way, but the not the sort of approach that I'm using, right? And so I would like to set up a program for coaches soon. And that's been like the idea that's been like burning in the forefront of my mind recently. So when you said that, I was like, okay, I'll just
nice. So that's more mixing in what I do, right? So working with coaches and teaching them about like the business side of things as well. You're going to show them that, or is it kind of you're not going to do the business?
I probably won't.
So just like the nutritional side of things.
I probably just teaching people how to take their clients through a similar process. When they give their clients suggestions, they say, okay, here's what I want you to eat, or this is how I want you to exercise. It's like, okay, well, how is the client actually going to adopt that behavior and make it part of their everyday routine? How are they going to make that the software? And so I'm basically going to, teaching the coaches how to do that. So what they're basically don't understand about how people develop habits.
Got you. So that. Yeah. So like the product delivery versus like selling the product or creating the business to sell the product. It's the actual product itself and the process that they'll take their.
I'm actually I'm not 100% sure, because I have had the idea, the former idea as well. So I'm not too sure. It's like I said, it's like the idea is sort of just kind of been conceived, but
maybe we'll have to get you back on when it's been conceived.
If you're watching this podcast,
maybe we'll have to get you back on once this idea has materialized and been conceived, and maybe it develops into something.
I think that. Oh, doesn't it always? It does. Though? Doesn't it always? Things are never really. I think you have to always be open to the idea that all of you're going to be. I think it's great to have visions, but also to go with the flow, because sometimes you open up to all of these amazing possibilities that you couldn't have possibly seen from the paradigm that you were in when you started.
No,
right?
definitely not. Well, I was agreeing with your point, but yeah, it's like we went through the same thing. What we were thinking like 6 months ago to what we're doing now is completely different, but what we're doing now is way better than what we thought we were going to be doing. But it just turns out that way.
Right. And it's like and you never even know. I mean, the way that technology is advancing, I mean, how would you really know in 5 years from now? You wouldn't even know what people are doing and how people are like, imagine 10 years ago, it's like the big thing was like to create a blog. No one was like, oh, I really want to run my own podcast show. It's like, because that wasn't really a thing. So if you're only sticking to your visions from like 5 or 10 years ago, then you're not going to be, evolving or like, adapting or anything like that. So I think always being open to taking direction and listening to, guidance and all of that stuff as well. And so I have all these big visions, but I'm just like not 100% sure how they go. And sometimes as I create stuff, it's like, oh yeah, that's how it's going to go, So some people that are listening, they're like, what? Like she's just going with the flow. But yeah, that's how I do it, and I like it, and I'm enjoying it. And
Yeah,
that's the
it's
point,
about the
right?
process. And if you're happy doing what you're doing, then that's all that really matters. Like I've come to realize that a lot more.
Yeah.
It's not so much about the destination, right? It sounds a bit corny, but it's not. It's about the process of going through it, because if you're not enjoying the process, then why are you doing it? Because that is the life that you're living. You want to be in the moment. You want to be now. And if you're not enjoying now, then the destination is not going to be any better, because there is no destination, because you can never get somewhere, because there'll be somewhere else that you have to get to, which I've come to realize.
Yeah, well, there's like so much in that, right? It's like we all do need to have a vision. We need to have some kind of destination. I mean, yes, it should be amendable, but we need a vision, because when you have a vision and you see the prospect of that vision, or something happens that helps you achieve it, you release dopamine. And dopamine is a neurochemical that makes you feel excited, motivated, so it's low levels will cause you to feel distracted, depressed, all of these different things. So you do need a vision. You do need a direction. That's so important. But if you're looking at the direction so much that you're not enjoying today, and you're not enjoying the process, then now that direction has become toxic. So basically everything has sort of like a middle ground where it's ideal for us. So yes, it's good to have a direction, but are you holding on to that so tight? Are you so attached to that everything that is just awful? The other thing too is that basically we are designed in such a way that we get habituated to anything that we are exposed to in quick succession. So then this is so that we will go seek variety in nature, right? And so I think understanding nature is a great way of understanding yourself. So basically, if we eat the same food over and over again, it's like in a short period of time, we just no longer even taste that food, and we just don't even want it. We're like, oh, like I don't want that, because we're designed to like variety. So anything that you're exposed to in quick succession, you become habituated to. So this is like something people experience in like romantic relationships that move really quickly. And it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh, that person's like whatever. It's like, no, that person's the same, but you become habituated. And so it's the same with all of your goals and all of the rewards that you're seeking. It's like, okay, great. It's good to have a direction. And, it's really nice to have daily rewards, because we actually need that in order to feel, alive. But they're always just going to become normal to you. If you think that one day you'll be happy when, then that's a really good sign that you're never going to be happy.
A lot to think about there. Some deep stuff. I didn't expect it to go this way. No, but it's been awesome.
Oh, sorry.
I've been lost in the last 50 minutes, and I hope anyone that's going to be listening to this has also been enjoying it as well, because we've just gone into some random places that we wouldn't normally go to. But that's awesome, because this podcast is about going wide, not narrow. I just want perspectives from everyone in the industry, and that was really valuable in many different ways. I'm sure a lot of people will love that. It's been fun. It's been really fun.
Yeah, it's been really good. Thank you so much for having me. I can really see that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing right now.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Life.
So in terms of the books, I don't think you said what they were called or where to find them.
So the first one is The Eating Enigma. So you can get that on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. If you follow me on Instagram, it's Nutritionist Maria. There's a link on my bio. So you can get it there. There's, so online. And I haven't actually decided on the name for the second book yet. It's between three different books, three different names. So that's not released yet.
Nice.
But
and then what's your website as well? What's your web address?
Nutritionist Maria as well. Everything I go by.
Nice. You got it locked down.
Yeah. Just thought it would be easier that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah,
this has been
lucky.
Cool. I've really enjoyed having you on. Want to say thank you so much. I'm always super grateful to all the guests that come on this show and giving us your time. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I really hope people got something out of this. I know we went on a bunch of tangents, but yeah, I hope people enjoyed it.
I'm sure they will.
Let us know.
All right, we'll do. We'll leave it there. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into the show. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you did, head over to your favorite app and leave us a short review. I'd really appreciate that. And if you wanted to learn more about our products and services, head over to CoachingIgnited.com. And if you wanted an awesome website built for your coaching business, head over to our partner company, SavectaMedia.com. That's all from me. See you soon.